Hi, how
Hi,
are you?
good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So, music is literally in the room we just came from. They were playing Linger, and so I was just like talking about music. But
Linger by the Cranberries?
yeah, but it was a cover. It was the some cover. But
Oh, the song.
when you are working on music for something, what kind of inspires you when you're breaking down a scene or breaking down whatever moment you have to kind of score to really get you in the mindset of like what these characters would like, what would kind of fit the best?
Um, yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, again, a lot of this was a strange, some of these songs the oldest song on this record, I wrote 10 years ago before this was even a twinkle in the eye. And it was the first thing I sent JT when he started shooting, because there were a couple songs that I listened to of mine, and I just went, how did I not write this song for this movie? Like I don't know, there's a lot of this film process that has felt so cosmic, kismet, crazy, psychic, weird. But then sort of for the other songs that I was writing for scenes, for the most part, it just came so naturally. I sort of knew the scene and I knew a lot what song, if he could license any song in the world, what it would be. And so I sort of did my best to write my version of those. But yeah, I think the really fun thing about writing for a project like this is I've had kind of insane writer's block for the last couple years of, how do you write about the end of the world? I find it like pretty impossible and daunting. And I think there was something very beautiful about being able to write within the tenets of like an imaginary reality that I feel like I kind of got to some truths for myself of, these songs are all for the movie, but they're also the inside of my head. So yeah, I've learned that fiction is therapy.
What? Well, and it's funny because you were talking and like three different things popped in my head that I wanted to talk about all at the same time because it was like I was thinking about like, oh, like that is kind of kismet, and then you said kismet, and I was like, well, that's funny. But
See,
also
there
like, you talked about the end of the world, and it instantly like made me think of my favorite song about the end of the world. And so when you are writing, do you have other songs that you're kind of like the vibe or the feel of what I'm trying to do and say kind of reminds me of this? And like, do you find inspiration from those, or do you kind of just zone yourself out so that you're making something unique to the experience?
both depending on the song. There are some songs in this movie that, like JT wanted to license a Sybil Bear song, and I just said like,
Mm.
okay, let me write like my version of that. And then some of them were just, I don't know, just like the feeling of deep despair within us all. There's a lot of that. The interplay between life and death. Death is a shadow. It's all this is a uniquely suitable project for me and where my head lives.
You're like, it's great, but we're all gonna die.
That's basically my response to everything.
I love it. Thank you so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait for everyone to get to hear your work in Strange Darling.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a great one.
You too.